poem that she wrote called Quiereme, which means love me. It's very beautiful, and it's got a nice little melody to it that she's put on there. She's also a singer. Very beautiful lady. So, let's see how this goes. Okay. Love me. Love me when I'm happy. Love me when I'm serene. Love me when I'm asleep. Love me when I'm awake. Don't love me the way you wish I was. Love me the way I am. Love me with love, not only with passion. Love me with or without reason. Don't love me only if you like me. For the variety in taste is best. Love me with tenderness. Love me naughtily. Love me to make you laugh or to accompany you in your solitude. Don't love me because you have no option. Love me because I'm your best option. Love me without more. Love me without less. Love me without reproaches and without difficulty. Don't want to want me. Just love me if it's what you feel and be free within me. Love me when I'm homely. Love me if I'm simple. Love me if I'm sick, but without sadness. Don't love me if you're afraid. Don't love me if you don't have dreams you want to realize with me. Love me fragile. Love me without thirst. Love me when I'm far or when I'm within you. Don't love me without happiness or joy. Don't love me when you have a torn coat. Don't love me blind. Don't love me mute. Love me amiably and with esteem. Love me the way you love when you love endlessly. Love me close. Love me for yourself. Just love me. Beautiful, right? Oh, wait, let's turn off that display. Anyway, I just thought I would share that with you guys because I thought it was such a lovely poem. And Miss Pasapera works with RBC, Belmont Casanelli, and they're in Peru, and they're fighting a cause very much like Mexico and AMLO. And they see in AMLO, from what I've heard, they see in AMLO a new way that it could be for them. A hope, I guess, a hope for a future um, Mr. Belmont Casanelli ran for president, and he was also obscured by the media, such as AMLO is, very much like AMLO is. If it wasn't that the people decided that they were going to show up in such great numbers, AMLO might not have made it, because he fought for it for about 40 years, and he was elected 2 times before that, and they stole the election from him twice. So the last 2 presidents really weren't supposed to be in office, but corruption being the way it was, the people were stuck without AMLO for those 2 other 6-year terms. So in that amount of time, the destruction, the corruption, the damage that was done to Mexico, very much like what happens or is happening in Peru, and has happened in Peru and the other Latin American countries. It's a very sad situation. And there's a company that's called something Mexico. Anyway, they are a mining company, and they're basically getting kicked out of Mexico for doing things against the environment, including recently they had a spill of sulfuric acid in the Mexico Bay. It was like this little bay that's in like south, the southern part of California. The bay that's right there by Cabo and all that. Anyway, it caused a lot of damage to the water, and there was some turtles that washed up, and I did share a picture of that. But it was such a sad situation, and that man, that owner of that company, has had a few other spills and damages to the environment, and it's a very sad thing that now they were having this big sports event in Peru. Somehow they snuck into their country while nobody was paying attention and looking at the sports or watching the sports, and now it looks like the government signed a contract with them, and kind of undercover, and they're doing the same thing they did to Mexico in Peru, and Casanelli is fighting it very fervently, and there's a lot of Peruvian people that are fighting it as well. But I love the way these people are working so hard for their country, to try and save their people from the dire poverty and the terrible situation, hunger, and all the same things that were in Mexico and are happening in Central America and a lot of other countries down there. They're going through the same thing because of the neoliberal movement that went in there and ravaged everybody. They're ravaging everybody. And we need to wake up. We need to wake up because it is destructive and hurtful, and people have to pay attention because it's not right for so many people to suffer. And I thought I'd share this poem because it's so beautiful, so touching, and also to bring attention to RBC. It's a new channel that started in Peru by Mr. Casanelli, Belmont Casanelli, and he's a very intelligent, knowledgeable man who's owned a TV company, radio stations. He was, I believe, the mayor of Peru. Sometimes I said he was the governor because, I get all those terms mixed up. But he was the mayor, actually, 2 terms of Peru. And very soft-spoken, gentle, soothing man. If you guys know Spanish, I would advise you to listen to his channel. It's wonderful. And he went to the conference and spoke there directly at AMLO or with AMLO. And he said he was so impressed by him, and he said that, what kind of wood is this man made of? Referring to how, like, he's so uncommon, extraordinary. Like, there's some wood that is soft and foamy and you can cut it and destroy it easily or it'll burn easily, but there's some wood that, when you make something out of it, it's sturdy and it's strong, and it holds its shape and not easily damaged. And that's how he described AMLO. He said, what kind of wood is this man made of? I don't recall right now which of the translated videos, but I translate, AMLO-Vision is my channel, and I translate the conferences from the Mexican president to English, because I want to share with the rest of the world what's happening in Mexico. What a wonderful president we're fortunate to have in Mexico now. He's making so many changes for the Mexican people, and man, it's unbelievable. Some of the things, every day that I translate, I'm learning new things he's doing, and everything is substantiated with documentation. There's, in fact, he recently signed a notarized document online that he would not be running for re-election because his opponents are claiming that he's trying to re-elect himself when he would never do anything that goes against the Constitution, and that does go against the Constitution. So to set them at ease, he signed in public the document, the notarized document, saying that he had no intention of running for re-election. But of course the Mexican people would love him to at this point. But he also is trying to enact a new law that I believe it's either every 2 or every 3 years, the people can decide whether the president that is in office should stay in office. And he made himself the first guinea pig. So within, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 years, it might be 2021. But if the people, the majority of the people do not want him to stay in office, then he will step down, because he said the people are the ones that are in charge. So anyway, that's a new amendment that they're trying to make to the Constitution. That way, if they get a president that goes in and starts looting and pillaging the country like the last few did, then they could get him out, get him out in a shorter term than a 6-year term, because they can do so much devastation to the country in that amount of time. But these people are extraordinary. All this whole group. There's Blanquita, there's Robert Casanelli, Beaumont, and there's Jota. He also used to be a radio person, and I think all 3 of them worked in radio together, if I recall correctly. But in any case, Wilmer Dominguez is also a friend of mine, and we've done a collaboration. And he wanted me to do a collaboration with Blanquita and a few other ladies of YouTube, and We're going to try and reach out to Juncal from El Charro Político, because there's very few women that are working on behalf of the fourth transformation, which is what AMLO calls it, the fourth transformation of Mexico, uh, where they're taking away the neoliberal movement and putting in one that is against corruption and is for the people, a true democracy, with the freedom of press and all that, all that it implies. Um, but anyway, so Wilmer, my friend, is in the hospital, very strong and all that, but he just had a little bout of, I believe he's either got pancreatitis or he's got uh, inflamed gallbladder, and I believe he's going to require surgery, but he's strong and I'm sure he'll do fine. And so I want to give a shout out to um, him there, Wilmer Dominguez, Ramar Dominguez, or Dominguez Ramar. I don't know the order of his name, but he's got a channel called Inti News. Now he is out of Spain, Barcelona, Spain, and he is also Peruvian, and uh, and it's very impressive to me that the way that AMLO's doing it, which is where he puts the poor people first and doesn't allow uh, you know private interests to control the economy and to take advantage of the people and to buy, for example, the electric company. They bought a lot of that. The education, they bought a lot of that. And so the people weren't getting a fair shake when it came to education and electricity and even gas. So many companies, gas companies, are, they they did horrible things with the petroleum industry. They closed down the um, refineries. So then Mexico has to send their petroleum to the U.S. and other places to get converted to gasoline, and then they sell it back to them at a higher price, which is ridiculous. AMLO said one time, it's like, you have oranges and you give them to somebody else or sell them to somebody else, whatever. You give them to somebody else to make the juice, and then they charge you for the juice, and you pay at a higher price, of course, when you could just squeeze it yourself. So that's kind of pretty much what's happening with the gasoline situation. So he's refurbishing the existing refineries, making new ones. Um, a lot of good things. A lot of good things for Mexico. Education is free now. Um, Medical attention, new hospitals. Increased the minimum wage, money for the elderly, doubled their income, the ones that had it, and gave it to the ones that didn't, that weren't getting any retirement. In fact, President Fox, when he was president, said, what we shouldn't give them anything, make them go back to work. Can you imagine that kind of thinking? To make your elderly go back to work instead of giving them a retirement? It's ridiculous. But that's the thinking, the mentality, and the abuse that was going on in Mexico. And the Mexican people are fed up. And the Mexican people want justice. And there's another thing. The indigent population, there's a huge indigent population there that even speak other dialects and have their cultures. Well, this is the first time that the indigent population made a ceremony for the president. And so if you get the opportunity, watch the entire inauguration of the Mexican president, Andrés Manuel López Obrador. That's the full name, and AMLO is the acronym. But if you see that, you'll see where there was a part in there where the indigents were doing their whole ceremony, and they did the passing of the oh, what's it called? They gave him like this staff, and the staff, when they pass the staff, it means he has to protect the people, the water, the food, the trees, the the environment. That they're putting their trust in him to protect their rights, um, and that they believe in him. And so that also was a very touching moment in that inauguration. And if you guys get the opportunity, you got to see it. It's very beautiful with all their costumes, and they spoke in some in their languages, and they had all their their fruits and their incense, and it's a beautiful thing. But anyway, I just thought I'd share this poem with you guys, and a little bit about what we're trying to do, which is educate the people, the American people, especially you young people, Mexican Americans. Maybe some of you, have parents that are Mexican. You might be second or third generation, and you don't speak Spanish, but you love your people, I'm sure, and you need to know what their plight is, and why they were coming to the U.S. and why they were traveling away from their homes, away from their cultures, away from the things they loved. It was because of the corruption and the cruelty that was going on there. Not only that, there was murders, violence, mass murders by the police, the military police, kidnappings by the military police. There was nowhere to turn, and some of these people in Central America that were trying to get to the U.S., that's why AMLO was saying we have to remember that they're human and not treat them bad. If you don't want them in your country, fine, we'll take them. If you don't want them in your country, let's make another way for them to survive. Let's help them rebuild. Let's help them make jobs for themselves in their country, like he's doing in Mexico. He created jobs by investing in the people themselves and in the land. So, for example, if you get the opportunity, you can see that he's giving people the supplies, the cement, and the mixers and wheelbarrows, and letting them do make the roads for the outskirts that have been without roads. There's so much more that you'll be able to see in Mexico now too, because they made all these roads in places that have the pyramids, and places that you haven't seen before. There's places in Mexico that have these old 1,000-year-old cultures that the world hasn't seen yet because there's no roads. So he gave the people the money, the things that they needed to make the roads, and they're making them. I know they've already made like 50 new roads, and there's like, I don't remember the number, it was in the hundreds of roads that they're making in order to give them the opportunity to get in and out of the area, to be able to have traveling, so that people can travel in there, and they can build their economy, and so they can get to and from hospitals. Oh, and he's also building hospitals and putting banks in every one of those areas, those rural areas, free internet, or very inexpensive, just enough to cover the expense of running it for all. That's going to be available everywhere. Right now, only 25% have internet and phone service. So he's shooting for 100% on that. What else? Money for disabled children is the same as the amount for the elderly. What else? I told you free education, all levels, with grants, for all of them. New hospitals, free medications, free medical care. What else? Gosh, there's so many things, and I learn about it because when I translate, I'm like, what? They get that? Oh man, that's awesome. I wish we got that. But you know, that's we're a country that cares more about money. I doubt we'll ever get anything like that here. Uh, well, unless somebody went into office that was not all about the money. Well, that's another story. But anyway, I just want to say, uh, check out my channel, AMLO-Vision, like, subscribe, and check out RBC and NT News, and find out what's going on in the world. You never know, maybe it'll catch on and we'll get to have some free medical and free education, and maybe our kids will be able to go to good schools, get a education, get a good job someday. That'd be nice. Okay, love y'all. Hugs and kisses. Bye.